All right, welcome to Talkin Investing. I'm Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to talk about Hut 8. They put out their operational report for the month of October this week. So I want to go through that. There's a bunch of information in there, and I want to go through what's going on overall with Hut 8 because they have some interesting stuff going on, and they have earnings coming out this coming week. So it's a big week ahead for Hut 8. We talk about Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners all the time on this channel. If you're new, please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Also, if everybody could smash the like button, I really appreciate it. It helps the channel out a lot. And leaving comments below. Also, I read all comments, so I appreciate that as well. Lastly, if you want to join the channel, you can hit the join button on the YouTube page and become a member. We have some members-only content, and we do a members-only live stream once a week. Okay, so let's talk about Hut 8. First off, I hope everybody's having a good weekend. I'm going to go through their stock, but what I really want to go through is their press release. So let's just take a quick look at their stock. They closed on Friday at $2.17. That was up just under 8% on the day, so it was a very healthy day for them on Friday. They outperformed most of the other Bitcoin miners. That is consistent with the fact that really there's three companies that have been at the top of the performance as far as their stock goes in the Bitcoin mining industry. And Hut is one of those three companies. Okay, so they're at $421 million market cap. Their 52-week low is $1.27, so they're significantly off of their 52-week low. Many of the other Bitcoin miners are actually at their 52-week lows right now. Here's a chart of Hut 8's market cap since they moved over to the NASDAQ. And again, they're traded on the Canadian exchange as well as the NASDAQ. So Hut, like all the rest of these companies, peaked in November of 2021. That's when Bitcoin hit its all-time high. They got over $2 billion in market cap at that time. So they're now down to $400 million. Back in August, around 3 months ago, they were about a $630 million market cap company. They're down a couple $100 million off of their local high in August. They're significantly down off of their $2 billion market cap high from just about 1 year ago. So this decrease, and they're down over 80% from a market cap standpoint, that's actually among the best of the Bitcoin miners. So they're one of the best behaving stocks in the Bitcoin mining industry. However, they are still down significantly. All right, let's get to the press release. Let's talk about what they did in October. Hut 8 mining production and operations update for October 2022. This came out November 3rd, so this was earlier in the week. 299 Bitcoin mined, bringing reserves to 8,687. So they have 8,687 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. We're going to talk more about that because they're in a special position with their hodl strategy. They have more unencumbered Bitcoin by far than any other Bitcoin miner. So we're going to talk about what that means. There is one other miner that does have more Bitcoin on their balance sheet. That's Marathon. Two things about Marathon. They bought 5,000 of their Bitcoin. And in addition to that, the majority of their Bitcoin are encumbered by a $100 million line of credit. So Hut sits here with coming up, by the end of the year, they're going to have over 9,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. They are totally unencumbered. They have not borrowed against those or encumbered them in any way. So this is why I have them as number one on my list of companies most likely to survive an extended bear market because their balance sheet is super strong. And we're going to take a look at their growth for 2022. They did have nice growth. Everybody scaled their growth plans back quite a bit in the year 2022 with a few exceptions. So they didn't get where they talked about getting, but they still had significant growth. And this balance sheet is rock solid. 299 Bitcoin were generated, resulted in an average production rate of approximately 9.6 Bitcoin per day. Keeping with our longstanding hodl strategy, 100% of the self-mined Bitcoin in October was deposited into custody. So this is now almost 2 full years of hodling every single Bitcoin that they've mined. Total Bitcoin on the balance sheet is 8,687. Installed ASIC hash rate capacity is 3.07 exahash. So that is the same month over month. We're going to look at their year-end target. We're only 2 months away from the end of the year. So we'll take a look at their year-end target and see where they're planning on going from here. Last bullet point is Hut 8 produced 97.4 Bitcoin per exahash in October. So this is the efficiency number that we've been looking at for a long time on this channel. The companies are starting now to give us this number in their press releases. That was not the case. This is something new that companies are starting to report. It's the amount of Bitcoin they mined in the month divided by the amount of exahash that they had over the course of the month. So this was just under 100. And I'm going to say 100 is probably going to be a decent score for the month of October. The difficulty rate was up significantly. There was a big difficulty rate increase in September. There was another big difficulty rate increase in October. So that's back-to-back giant increases in the difficulty level. So these Bitcoin per exahash numbers, were up in the 120s or 130s, but I think between 100 and 110 is going to be good results in the month of October. So we're still getting everybody's results as they come in, but this was better. This was more efficient than they were in the month of September. So month over month, they actually increased their Bitcoin per exahash, while their total exahash remained the same, which means they mined more Bitcoin in this month than they did in last month. And that's despite the fact that there was a 13% increase at the beginning of the month in the difficulty level. So to me, this was a very successful month. Okay, quote, "We continue to optimize our fleet to drive hash rate efficiencies at our mines," said Jamie Leverton, CEO. "With a balance sheet focused approach, we continue to manage well through this bear market, backed by the largest self-mine unencumbered Bitcoin stack of any publicly traded company." So we talked about that. This is a big deal. They have a lot more Bitcoin on their balance sheet than everybody else. So we'll take a look at that list in just a minute. They give us their year-end goals on this page. So this is not updated for the press release that we're just looking at right now. 3.07 exahash, so that did remain the same month over month. 100% hodl, that did remain the same month over month. This needs to be updated for the 299 Bitcoin that they mined in the month of October. But this is what I wanted to look at. They are projecting 3.5 exahash by December 31st, 2022. So essentially, they changed their plans this year. They went into crypto winter mode very early on. They were the first ones to do that, and they have remained there ever since. So they reduced, they were going to get to 6.5 exahash and maybe beyond that this year. That was their plans at the end of 2021 coming into 2022. But they have been extremely flexible, and they're reacting to the market. I think they beat everybody else to the punch on this. They slowed down first. So to put it in perspective, they came into the year with 2.0 exahash. So in 2021, they grew their hash rate 125% over the year 2020. Well, in 2022, they're going to grow their hash rate another 75% over the year 2021. So despite the fact that they've pulled back their goals significantly, 75% growth in exahash rate is substantial. So they did have excellent growth this year, but they scaled way back on their capital demands in order to save cash for what is turning into, even if it ended tomorrow, we're about a year into a bear market for Bitcoin. Okay, just quickly, I want to talk about the fact that on November 10th, they're going to release their financial statements. So we will definitely be doing a video to update that. And Sue Ennis from Hut 8 has been generous enough to agree to come on after this release. So sometime after the 10th, I will be talking to Sue Ennis. This is going to give us an opportunity to talk a little bit more in depth about what's going on. They may have some exciting things to announce. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. So I look forward to going through their financial results, and obviously I look forward to talking to Sue Ennis. I know I get a lot of requests for that interview, so we'll be looking forward to their earnings and to an interview next week. Okay, so just a quick look at this schedule, and this has not been updated for October because half of the companies have not yet reported their October results. So as of September 30th, this is how many Bitcoin the top 10 Bitcoin mining companies had on their balance sheet. So you'll see some are at a zero hodl strategy. So this list ends in zero, but there's 3 at the top that have a significant amount of Bitcoin. So at first glance, it looks like Marathon has the most Bitcoin out of everybody, and they do. They're now over 11,000, but the thing is, 2/3 of those are encumbered by a line of credit. So those are restricted and encumbered. Hut now has about 8,600. They're on their way to 9,000, and those are 100% unencumbered. Riot has about 6,700, so they stand a chance potentially of competing with Hut by the end of the year for the most hodl. But those 3 companies are really the only ones hodling Bitcoin, and Hut 8 is the only one that can say that all of their Bitcoin is totally unencumbered. This is a chart of Hut 8's production by month for Bitcoin for the last year. Now, these were Bitcoin equivalents for most of this period because they did buy 10,000 GPUs. So for a while, they were mining Ethereum and taking payment in Bitcoin. Obviously now Ethereum's moved over to proof of stake, so that's no longer the case. So now this is a pure number. This October number is the first month where there was no Ethereum all month long. So despite that fact, you'll see they actually had an increase in production from September to October. September was 277, October is 299. And like I said, in both September and October, there were massive difficulty level increases on the Bitcoin mining network. So this was a good result for them, and you can see they've been fairly steady over the last year. And again, they've taken a more conservative approach. They've been pretty steady in their production, but they've been able to hodl all of it. So they have not been forced into a situation that many of the other companies have been, where they hodled and sold at the lows. There are some companies that have been selling all along, so they were dollar cost averaging down. That's a strategy I think a lot of people don't have a problem with, but what you didn't want to do is get stuck selling all of your Bitcoin at the low. So obviously Hut has kept a super strong balance sheet. They've been able to avoid that thus far, and it looks like they're going to be able to continue to do that. Okay, last chart, and this is not updated through Friday. This is updated through earlier in the week, but it remains relatively the same. You'll see this is a chart of each company versus their summer low. Bitcoin's outperforming almost every single company. Most of these companies are in the red, meaning they have now taken out their lows from this summer and set lower lows. There are 3 companies that are an exception to that: Marathon, Hut, and Riot. So you'll see Hut is still 65%, and this was earlier in the week, so it's better than this now. They were still 65% over their summer lows, so they're not even close to taking out their summer lows, whereas most of the companies have already done so. So this stock has outperformed. It's been a very strong performer, and again, I think this relates directly to the last chart we just looked at. If you look at the hodl position of these 3 companies, these are the 3 companies that have maintained a significant Bitcoin balance on their balance sheet. Okay, just a quick look. This is Hut on the 1-week time frame, so you can see this was their peak. This was November of 2021, so November 8th, that's when everybody peaked. All the Bitcoin miners peaked on that day. Bitcoin peaked within 1 day of that, and since then, you'll see there was a long ride down to the bottom. I'm going to zoom in and take a closer look at this activity, but from the top to the bottom, this stock was down about 92% in about a 7-month window of time. So if we zoom in a little closer, this is Hut on the 1-day time frame. So you're going to see this is that low from this summer when each one of the Bitcoin miners did hit a new low over the summer. So this was on July 5th. But you're going to see they are significantly above that. So if we measure to where they ended up on Friday, they're 68% above that low. So they have held on to their gains much better than all the other Bitcoin mining companies. And again, there's probably several reasons for that, but the very strong balance sheet, I think, is the main reason for that. So if I look at this the other way, off of their highs from August, each one of the Bitcoin miners did have a local high in August when Bitcoin had a nice relief rally up to $25,000. There's about a 70% upside for their stock to get back to that point where it was in the middle of August. So on a short-term basis, if Bitcoin can get a rally going, I think it's realistic to think that Hut could get back to those levels that they were at in August. For me, this is more of a long-term picture, right? I think this is a strong company. I like what they're doing. This balance, the strength and balance sheet, the decision-making that they've made has been good, but I am very much anticipating going through their financial statements for the 3rd quarter when they come out this week. And then, of course, hopefully we get a nice conversation with Sue after that to talk about what comes next. So that is my update for Hut 8. Thanks so much for watching. Remember, if you made it this far, please remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell and smash the like button. So thanks again for watching. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you in the next video.